Do you get bored of staring at the same screen background day after day? I know I do. It's as dull as watching paint dry. So I'm thinking to myself, can I create a cool looking, vibrant background with some playful variations that can easily be switched? Of course I can. Let's get messy. Hi everybody, I'm Kersten Luts and you're watching Platypod TV, brought to you by Platypod, where innovation never sleeps. And in today's video, I'll show you how you can create awesome looking images that work perfectly as a wallpaper background for your screen. Here's how you can create amazingly abstract images with water, oil, and a few clever background ideas. To start, all you need is a tray filled with water and some regular cooking oil. I use vegetable oil, but any oil will work as long as it's relatively clear. So I'd probably stay away from olive or motor oil. Just saying. Motor oil can drive you nuts. Get it? Motor oil drive you nuts? Anyways, moving on. I'm going to show you how you can create these images not only with a full-size camera, but also with a smartphone. Even if you don't own a macro lens yet, I got you covered. But let's start with the camera first. My camera is set up on a tripod with a center pole at 90 degrees for a perfect top-down view. The Platypod Elite is handy for adjusting the angle, but any ball head will suffice, really. To get more reach, I've placed two tripod legs on the table. It's perfectly stable and secure. Now place a glass tray on some elevated surfaces for space underneath. We'll insert various backdrop options shortly, and stay tuned for an awesome bonus tip at the end. Fill the tray with lukewarm water. It'll help disperse the oil more easily, and use a syringe or a spoon to add the oil. It takes a little practice, but you'll be able to create blobs of different sizes, which will make the image even more interesting. Lastly, add a drop of dishwashing detergent to help refine the oil bubbles. I'm using a Nikon Z6 II with a 105 macro lens, but if you prefer smartphone photography, no worries, I'll share a great setup for that later, so make sure you'll stick around for that. Keep your aperture wide open, maintain a shutter speed of around 1/200th of a second, and keep the ISO as low as possible. But you might have to adjust these settings based on your backdrop. Talking about backdrops, let's have a look at our first shot.
LED magic.
To create vibrant backdrops for your oil bubbles, I start by using LumeCube Panel Pros. It's the perfect choice. Placing two Panel Pros beneath the tray, I can effortlessly control color and brightness using LumeCube's Lume Control app. It's so user-friendly, it's almost scary. I opt for a combination of red and blue, setting the LEDs to a subtle 10%. To achieve a smoother look, I recommend using a sheet or two of paper to further diffuse the lights. Now, with everything in place, we're ready to start shooting. When it comes to remotely triggering your camera, there are various options, such as using a remote trigger system or tethering directly to Lightroom or Capture One. Personally, I prefer using my camera manufacturer's native app on my iPad. In my case, Nikon's SnapBridge app allows me to control camera settings remotely. Being able to preview the image on a larger screen is great too. Canon, Sony, and most other camera makes will have a similar app, so give that a shot. No pun intended. Use a fork or spoon to move the bubbles around and get them into the frame. Experiment with changing the LED colors to introduce variety and capture unique shots. Now I know not everyone has LED lights at the ready, so here's another great way that will allow you to create a wide array of colorful backdrops. And it's super simple.
The iPad.
I've got this ancient iPad lying around and I've uploaded a few images of color gradients into the photo app. This is a fantastic way to create lots of fun shots simply by swiping through different background images. For an even more dynamic approach, consider using video files of animated color gradients. This technique offers a phenomenal way to achieve almost infinite variety in your shots. So whether you have LED lights or an iPad, you've got versatile options to enhance the visual appeal of your oil bubble photography.
Tin foil.
Lastly, here's a background option that I personally love and frequently use. And all you need is some tin foil or aluminum foil for those of you from across the pond. Simply crumple it up, slide it under your water tray, and employ a light source to introduce a touch of sparkle. I personally use my Panel Pros for a red and blue sparkling effect, but a flashlight with a color gel can work wonders too. Experiment by moving your lights around to achieve endless variations and play with different colors to create a range of vibes in your shots. The simplicity of tinfoil adds an unexpectedly dazzling element to your oil bubble photography. Alright, as promised, I'll show you how you can achieve a similar effect using your smartphone.
Going mobile.
To elevate my iPhone above the tray, I've employed a Platypod Extreme as a base and connected 2 handles to achieve the desired height. To secure my phone, I used the clamp part of the Platypod grip and an elbow. A super simple setup. And to make sure your Extreme stays in place, add some extra weight or clamp it securely to the tabletop. For full control over camera settings and maximum flexibility in the edit, I want to record my images in RAW, and for that, I prefer using the Adobe Lightroom Pro Camera app on my smartphone. This is a great smartphone setup that will allow you to easily capture awesome bubble shots. In order to access the macro mode on an iPhone 13 Pro, select the ultra wide lens. That is the lens macro mode uses, and it allows you to get perfect focus at a very short distance. Alternatively, the regular wide lens zoomed in works perfectly fine too. Adjust the handles to get the right distance to the surface, aim and fire. It's incredible how detailed smartphone images are these days. And there you have it, folks. 3 super easy backdrop ideas to create amazing images that you can use as a desktop wallpaper. For more amazing ideas, check out this episode of the Camera Shake podcast with macro photography legend Don Komarechka. It will blow your mind. If you haven't tuned into the Camera Shake podcast yet, well, now's the time. Find it on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever awesome podcasts live. All the links are waiting for you in the description below. As per usual, share a snapshot of your setup or share your final shots on Instagram. Whether you're experimenting with Platypod gear or putting our lighting setups to the test, I want to be part of your creative journey. Tag Platypod on Instagram and use the hashtag #PostMyPlatypod. And hey, if you like this video, there's a special button just for you right here. Join the vibrant community over on Facebook to catch up on what other Platypod users are cooking up, and hit the bell to stay in the loop with our regular videos. That's it for today, my friends. Stay creative, and I'll catch you next time.